A huge mistake that players tend to make is not making the appropriate decision for the amount of time left in a match. Players see the timer or score count getting low, feel like they need to retake as quickly as possible, and end up making really reckless decisions like rushing in and trying to brute force disadvantageous fights, which causes them to lose very winnable matches. The fast pace of Splatoon can really make you feel like you need to be in a panicked rush the whole match, but you have so much more time than it feels like you do. As long as the timer and score count are still active, you still have a chance to win, and more often than not, you have time to gain an advantage before rushing in. When you're in the lead especially, you have time, because the enemy still has to get all the way through their penalty and then also catch up to your score. If the enemy is getting close to lead but there's still time left in the match, don't panic. It's often a good idea just to give them a few points of lead, then have a strong retake with numbers and specials soon after. Occasionally it's worth it to make a break for it and stop the timer at the expense of your life, but often doing so will needlessly put your team at numbers disadvantage, and the enemies will end up getting way more points in the end than they would have if you had just chilled for a sec, given up a small lead, and then had a strong retake. So at what point should you start making that last-ditch desperate play? Generally, if there's 20 points remaining, you're at your last chance to have a controlled retake in most map modes, but it of course varies depending on your team comp and the map and generally how bad things are going. Yes, when it really comes down to the wire and you're less than 10 points remaining and know you don't have enough time to get a special up, it's okay to make a last desperate play. But up until that point, play at the same pace that you normally would, which should be something like with haste, but not recklessly. If you really need to brute force a score stop, such as being in overtime and just needing one stop to win, at least consider whether or not you have your teammates with you. What tends to happen is that everyone makes the decision to go for a desperate play at different times, so everyone one after the other goes into a 1v4 situation, which just will not work most of the time, instead of waiting the uncomfortable extra few seconds for your team to regroup and then going into a 4v4, which is much more likely to work. You can also take advantage of the other team's panic. When you're scoring, focus on punishing mistakes from the enemies, because they're pretty likely to start making them. Follow for more Splatoon tips!